So just to do a quick introduction, live with me today in Conversion Masterclass, we have Justin Christianson from Conversion Fanatics. Justin is a co-founder and president of Conversion Fanatics. And I think I probably won't be able to do you justice on the stuff that you do. Justin, why don't you give us a quick introduction on your background, what your passion is? And I've never seen a person that's more passionate about conversion rate optimization than you are. By far, hands down, you win this.
So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I mean, the name kind of says it all. We are pretty fanatical about it. And really, I mean, I've been in the digital marketing game, God, I don't even know. It's 19 years now, I think, something like that. I started. I've been full-time as a marketer in some capacity on my own since 2005.
Wow.
We started Conversion Fanatics about I think this spring was 6 years. Basically out of demand. A lot of people were talking traffic, and then latest Facebook ads hack or the latest traffic secrets or whatever have you. And I saw a lot of success my entire career through conversion optimization and implementation and setting up kind of that process and split testing and getting kind of squeezing more juice from the orange. And people kind of asked me after I sold my previous company what I was going to do next. And I went into consulting, and I really, based out of demand, we started what's now Conversion Fanatics. We started teaching it and nobody wanted to learn it. In a official education environment, courses and training and coaching and things like that, which is my background in direct response marketing, that capacity. So they just said, can you just do this for me? And with that, now we got a team and worked with several hundred companies and some of the most famous or most recognizable brands in the world. We've helped optimize and grow and still do to this day. And it's been fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And that has been pretty much your core focus since day one of starting Conversion Fanatics, conversion rate optimization. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, really. I think it's one of those topics that people are generally interested in, but they don't really get the opportunity to look into it until really kind of later down the road in their e-commerce journey or business journey as a whole. Because it's not one of those things that you kind of think about as you start building a business. It's typically like Facebook ads and paid traffic and scaling the business, scaling the team. And then you kind of start thinking about, all right, what's next? And that's where you come in and bring in your expertise to bring people to that next 1% improvement, which means really a lot for a brand that is, could be doing 1 mil a month, 10 mil a month. And it could really add up over time. So I guess let's move on to the next slide. And so I guess give us a breakdown on what exactly is conversion optimization and why is it important for brands to start thinking about?
Yeah, so that's a kind of a common misconception too, is people think conversion optimization is split testing. And they're not one and the same. We use split testing to prove or disprove any assumptions that we might have in our marketing. Conversion optimization is many pieces that go together to really help identify the behaviors of an audience. What do they like? What do they dislike? What are their wants and needs? How are they interacting with a brand? This is using both qualitative and quantitative data, and it's helping make a better experience. You've heard the terms user experience, user interface, but it's creating a better experience for your audience to do business with you. The better you can engage that audience, help them find what they're looking for, the better their journey is going to be, the more money they're going to spend with you, the more chances are they are going to actually do business with you. And a lot of people get under the guise of, hey, let's just A/B test some stuff. And button color today, headline tomorrow. Let's test an image. Oh, I like this. I don't like that. and instead of letting that data kind of build up and evolve. And a lot of companies think that, oh, I just need to test 1,000 things and, let's run 100 tests every month and see what sticks. We'll only run 8 or 9 or 10 tests, maybe at most. But we're going to win more than that person that say will run 20, 30, or 40 tests. So really what we do is optimization is to help a business truly scale and grow their business and help them evolve and adapt and quickly change in an ever evolving and changing digital landscape. I've been doing this a long time, and the principles have not changed. It's just the mediums change and the buying habits change and the attention spans gets a lot shorter. So for a business to truly scale and grow, yes, traffic is important, but how that traffic performs once they come to your site, or once you send an email and send them back to the site, how do they perform? What's that journey like for them? And it doesn't come down to just conversion rate. I'm a conversion rate optimization guy, but that's like the last metric I really care about. It's not my straight up catalyst of how well we're performing, because traffic fluctuations, you could be running a 4-day special promotion via email that's going to have a much higher conversion rate than your normal flow of traffic. Or, we've got a client that gets just literally every Monday morning, it's like conversion rates in the tank. What's wrong with the site? What's going on? It's the lowest conversion rate we've ever had. And I look back and it's like, no, it's like the same as it was last Monday, and it's 8:30 a.m. It's like not, just give it a little bit of time and it'll usually bounce back. Or they had a bunch of influencers post the previous day. So that looks like conversion rates down, 50% the next day because Shopify compares day over day. So I take it very tongue in cheek or, not at face value every time, because, all I care about is what does the month over month trend look like on the revenue side, on the average order value side. Did traffic go up 20 or 30%? And what does a conversion rate look like comparative to that? Are transactions going up? What are the bigger picture rather than, hey, I changed the button color and my conversion rate went up 20%. Did I learn something from that? And I just ask the question why a lot. And really with that, optimization never ends, as you see on the bullet point on the screen. It just never does. You're going to constantly be tweaking something. You're going to constantly be evolving because the landscape doesn't stay static. What worked 6 months ago won't work today, and vice versa. It's you got to constantly be moving. And the more you can do that, even if your conversion rate stays relatively the same, but the business is growing, what would it look like if you weren't optimizing and split testing? Probably, we've seen traffic. If you bump up your ad budget from, I use this example.
Yep.
For true scalability is, say you're spending $2,000 a day on ads, and tomorrow you decide you're going to bump your budget to 5,000 if the system will allow it. Chances are your conversion rate's going to dip. If you double your budget, double the eyeballs, that traffic isn't going to perform the same as when you've got an optimized flow at running at $2,000 a day, because it's had time to work through the algorithms and do all of those things. So don't expect your conversion rate to stay the same or even keep increasing when you're trying to scale traffic at the same time. But if you can keep it pretty on par or even slightly a dip, you're going to be way further ahead. What would you rather have? Your site converting at 2% with the same amount of traffic, or 1.5 with twice as many eyeballs?
Exactly.
I'll take twice as many eyeballs all day because I'm making more money. And so that's my job, is to help a business mitigate the downside as they're scaling, is essentially what it is. Not necessarily bump their conversion rate, because it's not going to go from 1% to 2% to 3% to 4% and infinitely go up. I wish, That would be so awesome, but it allows them to spend more money effectively. It allows you to email more effectively. It allows to do all of these things in a cohesive environment rather than, hey, I'm going to test your buttons today, or I'm going to test adding this picture tomorrow. It's much different. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but
no, that's good. That's really
value.
good. And that's good. That's good value. And I think that's a good start to our conversation here. So let's bring it back to something that's a little bit more kind of, if we take things from someone who's just starting out on the idea of conversion rate optimization, or someone who's just brand new to the idea, or someone like me, right? I have kind of like a rudimentary understanding of what CRO is all about. And obviously goes beyond just split testing. What are some of the steps and or tools that, I guess that brings us to the next slide, that we should start thinking about when it comes to conversion rate optimization?
So what you or I think doesn't matter. It's egos are out the window. That is the first step in
I
this.
love that.
I am proven wrong constantly. And I've conducted almost, over 7,000 split tests with God knows how many variables at this point. And I'm proven wrong every single week. My team is proven wrong every single week. So it's the point of listening to your visitors. So follow the data, which you'll see on the screen, is both qualitative and quantitatively. Quantitative is your hard facts. It's your Shopify metrics. It's your Google Analytics. It's those hard numbers. Here's my average order value. Here's my revenue per visitor. Here's, my traffic numbers and my conversion rates and my bounce rates and all of those fun things that we can go, to an infinite rabbit hole of data at that point. And your qualitative is heat maps and click maps and survey data and, exit polls and screen recordings and user testing and all of those things that really just ask your visitors, why didn't you buy from us today? What are you paying attention to? What are you ignoring? What's most meaningful to you? And that's the biggest step that I think a lot of people miss. They get so caught up in, and particularly if you're new or if you're fresh, or maybe you've got a store that's doing, 20 grand a month or something, that's, you're just getting your feet wet. You're just starting to finally make some money. True conversion optimization from a split test perspective from A to Z is not going to be effective for you. It's going to take forever. But qualitative optimization is going to get you, 100 yards further than where it would have been before, because the more you can listen to your visitors, and this is particularly more important too in lead generation. It works great in e-com, obviously, too, but where you don't have the luxury of a lot of moving parts. But just ask your visitors what they like, what they don't like. Say, what questions didn't we answer for you today? Give them an outlet. Give them a reason to, figure out what, where you're falling short. And if you make those adaptations, the better off it's going to be. And just by looking at this data, I can tell, okay, you've got a problem here, which brings us to the next point on this, is find the friction points. Is I can look at a couple heat maps, I can look at your analytic data, and I can do a quick walkthrough of your website, and I'll pick out 50 different friction points that, and friction doesn't always mean remove. Alleviating friction could be adding something to the site, like an FAQ or, something specific, because simple doesn't always necessarily convert better than more complex. It's just positioning the data and positioning the imagery and the benefits and all of the things in a way that your visitors respond to the most. So what I do is I'll go into analytics. I call it my 16-minute exercise. It took me 16 minutes. I recorded a video once for our team.
Right.
Here it is, a site I've never seen before. What does it look like from an unbiased perspective? And this is what we do in our analysis all the time too. for, our clients and or people that are potentially going to be clients when we do an initial walkthrough is I'll log in analytics. I'll look at a few reports. I'll look at demographics. I'll look at user behavior. I'll look at, kind of the landing pages. I'll look at mobile, desktop, tablet breakdown. I will look at new versus returning, and I'll look at shopping behavior. Then I'll be able to tell, okay, you've got majority of your traffic is going to a product page as the first landing page. You've got a 98% bounce rate on that page. Your home page converts at 4 times what your product page does. Yep. Better engagement. So maybe if we redirect some traffic to your home page, we're going to convert better. And then I just ask the question, why? So why is that happening? Why is the visitor bouncing? Why are they going, they're landing on the product page and they're immediately clicking on the about page? Why are they doing that? When I just ask that, that's literally the question I ask. I ask that of every single piece of data. And I ask of everything, like, why are we doing it that way? Or why is the visitor performing this way? Or why does the data look like that? I ask the question why 1,000 times a day. And then I come up with every reason possible why that is happening. So if I know my bounce rate is mobile, product detail page, we're having issues there. The engagement isn't there. We're not answering some question. We're not engaging the visitor in some capacity, or they just hate the product. They're enticed by it from the ad, or it's not the right fit. So I just come up with every reason possible, and then that becomes our test hypotheses, and we flush it out even further. Then I test it, and then I wash, rinse, and repeat. That's really what we do. I just go in a constant cycle of asking why, and then questioning the data, and then testing whether we're right or not. And once you get enough of those tests out the door, the trends start to emerge. It's like, hey, we know that if we test social proof on this certain page, it's going to perform better. What happens if we exploit that and test it on other pages? It isn't always as black and white as more social proof is better.
Yep.
But we know that they respond to social proof. So how can we do that effectively, that they respond to the best? And sometimes it means blanketing the site in testimonials and reviews. Sometimes it means strategically placing it, or the type of review. And really, we're just trying to understand the visitors. And that's literally conversion optimization on a timeline is what you see on your screen. It's A to Z. And I just look at data, both from a user perspective, from a hard data perspective. Then I ask the question why, and then test. I mean, that's really it.
That's really, really interesting. And I have a couple more points to kind of uncover here. With Chronos Agency, with the clients that we work with, we go into conversion optimization to some degree, but not obviously. It's kind of limited to emails, SMS, and chatbots, to kind of like individual channels. And the approach that we take in kind of understanding the why and coming up with the reasons why, and then kind of discovering the result of that is by kind of keeping tabs on the outcomes of all the tests that we have been conducting, and painting a picture of who the audience is and what they prefer and what works for that group of people. But I've always had this kind of concern in mind where I'm not entirely sure if the test result is because of who we are selling to, or where they're at in terms of their website journey at that point in time, or their buying journey at the point in time. How do you is there a differentiating factor to that? And how do you kind of understand, like, this is a factor that is a result of who that person is? Maybe they're just young, or they're just old, and that's why this is happening. Or it's because they are kind of, considering different things all at once. They're like comparing products at the current stage in their life cycle, and it's just not working for them. How do you kind of think of that process?
Well, I mean, we were kind of talking offline when we first started.
Yeah.
When we first popped on is attribution. And that's still the $1 billion unanswered problem, that it literally is. And that's our job as marketers, is to constantly try to understand why. But, where they are in that life cycle and where they're at, or are they just shopping? Are they just comparing us to Amazon? Are they just doing, whatever? Mm-hmm. So generally it comes down to, and this is a problem I see a lot of e-commerce businesses make, is they race to a discount, thinking that the visitor just needs a special promotion to push them over the edge, or they just need a special, and they always think that price is the factor.
Right. Price
is almost never the factor. And oftentimes cheaper is not better. Case in point, we ran a test recently where the price was normally $50. We thought we'd test it at 15 just to see. It absolutely wiped out conversion rate.
Wow. Okay.
Like wiped it out. I mean, I'm talking 2.5% at $50 to point something at.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
At 15. So
that's like half. So what do you think is the reason why to kind of that happening? Because I think price is one of the factors that people are considering as well. Kind of the immediate toolkit that kind of e-com marketers today are thinking about is how much discount can I afford? How much discount can I give?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the conversation that's happening right now.
And excuse my language, but that is a shitty mindset to have.
Right.
Because that just brings in crappy customers. If you're constantly, I've got clients that, a client right now that they pretty much lost 90% of their revenue during all of this madness the last few months. Because they were constant state of promotion.
Right.
They were constantly on sale. It's the perpetual sale. And yes, value, and really, if you got to think about pricing as the value that you're giving for the money. Is that product worth it? Are you painting the picture in an effective manner to make it worth it for the price? Right. So therefore, the price is never an issue. What I see people doing is, or what I would rather see people doing, is building up that trust value and that and answering the questions and building up the value from that perspective. More importantly, on the email side too, which I'm sure you see this as well, is we kind of have the joke in e-com. It's like, you want a discount, just try to leave the page.
Yeah.
Add something to cart and then abandon cart. And in a couple minutes, you're going to get an email. It's like, hey, here's 15% off.
Yep.
What if you then pivoted that and said, hey, I see you left something in your cart. I'm not really sure why, but I wanted to answer a few questions that that we typically get about our products. Mm-hmm. Or here's a guide that'll help you along your journey. Here's something of value. Here's more about our story. Here's some testimonials about one of our users, a case study example. And they might not be ready to buy today, and giving them that discount might push some of the people over the edge. But what if you opened up that attribution window to 30 days instead of, oh, I need to get that sale today. They're on my website. I need to get them today. Mm-hmm. Why not look at it? Okay, I'm going to build that relationship. I'm going to build that trust. I'm going to answer those questions. I'm going to really get to know this person and have them get to know us as a business, as a brand, and get to know our products. They're probably going to buy, and they're going to buy at full price.
Yep.
And they might buy twice as much stuff. Because again, price is almost never the issue. Yes, it's okay to run promotions. Yes, it's okay to, discount the products or position it as perceived value and perceived discount and all of these things. But if you're constantly racing to the bottom, I go back to A.G. Lafley, who's the former chairman and CEO of Procter and Gamble. They know a little bit about direct response marketing. Pretty much every grocery store shelf has their products on it.
Yeah.
He said there's only only two ways to win, and that is beat them on price or beat them on value. And not many people can beat them on price. So, I'm kind of that personification. You can go in and I can buy, look at toothpaste, for example.
Yep.
I use $6 a tube toothpaste for small little tubes because I prefer that all natural versus my $2 tube of stuff.
Right.
I don't care that it's 3 times as much because I like it more and I trust the brand and I do all of these things. Majority of shoppers out there are that way too. Yes, there's certain markets, and we can get in that debate, but stop just thinking you need to be in this perpetual sale, because it's once you go into that nosedive, it is very hard to pull back up from. And I've seen customers come in on, hey, use free trials as an example.
Yep.
It's like, try my product out for free. We're going to ship it out to you. You're going to love it. And then you're going to stick around. Yeah, you can get cheap customers that way, but they're not going to stick around. They're going to take your freebie and then they're going to walk. They're going to cancel. What about giving them twice as much? Overloading them with value. It's like, hey, we've got all of this amazing stuff. Try it out.
Right. Okay.
Then,
like that.
Then it's going to bring in a better customer overall because they're paying full price. They're getting more value. I use the free gift with purchase analogy a lot. You'd walk into, now is not a good time to highlight that example, but you walk into Dillard's or Macy's or something like that. You're going to buy cologne. They're typically not on sale, but I'm going to get a free bag or I'm going to get a free something with my purchase, but I'm going to pay full price.
Right.
It's that same thing. It's like, hey, deluxe sample size of my face lotion, or, get a free WYSIWYG something, widget when you make a purchase today.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to save abandoned carts. It's a great way to build that value. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off on another tangent, but
no, it's good. I see that. I see that. And it's kind of a shift that we kind of have to really set our mindset in the right place. Because coming from a direct response background, people are going to be thinking about, all right, just make that sale as soon as possible, convert them so that you can kind of basically convert more. You're lowering the upfront CPA, and therefore you can spend more money and scale faster than you otherwise could if you were to kind of just wait it out and kind of do it on a value-based approach.
But are you getting it at a cheaper CPA? That's the question. What's the long-term ramifications of that? Yes, you can make your numbers work day one, but I know companies that can afford to go negative to acquire a customer day one because they know that their 3-month value is going to far outweigh any of the other day one value. And what does it look like from a brand perspective and growing the brand? Again, it goes back to, do you want to convert at 2% today, or what is 1.5% okay? But at the same time, we've seen through effective optimization and even looking at it from this other lens. And so my whole purpose of an e-com store is to, here's what we have, here's who we are. How can I help you find what it is you're looking for as quickly as possible? And then how can I convince you that it is enough value to spend the money on and make that buying decision? And I don't care if it's new or a returning visitor, or if it's Facebook traffic or Google traffic or email traffic. I don't care. The better off I can make that user experience and that journey, the more effective everything's going to be. You're going to have a lower cost per acquisition. We've seen 20, 30% reductions in cost per acquisition, and I never even touched an ad. Because we're just really making that once they click, the value is there, the journey is there, the trust and like, and all of those pieces are in place. But there's something to, and I'm a direct response marketer. I wrote direct response copy, long form sales letters. Buy my shit. That's me. I spent 10 years doing it. But everybody's BS meter is up right now. And not just when what we're going through right now, you know, when everybody being kind of shut down, but in general, people are skeptical of everything. And we've got to compete on many different levels with competitors and Amazon and all of these other retailers that are vying for the attention that have the bigger budgets. The better off you can be to evolve and grow and scale from and attach yourself and position yourself, the better off you're going to be long term, because people buy from those that they know, like, and trust.
Love that.
And that's really what you have to do as a marketer, is not necessarily go for the cash grab, but what are you building long term, and look 6 months down the road versus 6 days.
I love that. 6 months down the road.
Any of the question that you originally asked?
So I think that's good. I personally got quite a bit of insights there as well. 6 months instead of 6 days. That's a really good one. And if people are looking into kind of trying it themselves, or doing it themselves, or even working with an agency like yours, talk to me about the tools that you use. Obviously, keep it as simple as possible. But what exactly are these tools that you would personally recommend? And I believe you've obviously tried and tested many different tools across the years of both as a direct response marketer and as a conversion rate optimization specialist. What is kind of that breakdown?
Yeah, so you said it, and it's on the screen, is keep the tools so simple. And we get so tied up in the latest app, or specifically in Shopify. It's easy to go to the app store, marketplace, and push install. It's easy.
It's like a mall.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, this looks fun. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Chances are it's not going to be as effective as you think it's going to be. So I don't overcomplicate it. I'll come in with a new client and we keep it very simple. I use Google Analytics or some additional analytics tools if it's warranted. Usually Google Analytics, and I'm talking maybe 2% of the clients we work with has some additional analytics tool that we leverage for what we do. I'm not saying from the ad side or any of that, or the email side, just for what we do.
Right.
Google Analytics is usually sufficient, particularly in a Shopify world. Seamless, it gives you all the reports. Using Shopify data as my third source, because I don't necessarily always trust what Shopify is actually pulling. Gives you a big global picture of what it is. And then a testing tool. I use VWO, Convert.com, use Optimizely. Google Optimize if you absolutely have to, if you're on a tight budget. It's good for beginning, quick and dirty. I'm not a huge long term. And then a heat map tool. We use Hotjar. Lucky Orange makes a decent one. True Conversion is another good one. Hotjar is our go-to. And that just allows us to get our exit polling and our heat maps and our click maps and scroll maps and screen recordings when we need it. And that's about as simple as I get. I mean, I don't like complicated. I just want to be able to look and see several different points of data on the same data set.
Right.
Make sure we're not screwing something up. and that we're collecting the proper information, and then I just get a big enough sample size. But yeah, I don't overcomplicate it, and I think most people do.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed in years. I mean, I was split testing before there was software to split test, so I kind of still keep that mentality.
Love that. Love that. Awesome. So let's move on to the next part of our conversation, and it's on capturing leads on your site. And I think this is a really interesting topic. And typically people kind of think of optimizing landing pages. And so yeah, talk to me about landing pages and what's the thought process behind optimizing it for conversions. Obviously, these are kind of some tips that you've provided us with.
So I guess more importantly, it's what we're going through right now. Specific things that we can see right now. Do you want to talk about capturing first, or you want to go into landing pages?
I guess you can go both, really.
Okay. Yeah. So on your side too, I mean, capturing email, usually.
And, I'm going to cover that as well after this. Yeah.
Then I'll let you cover that. But typically, same thing applies. Don't race to the discount all the time. I'll just touch on that super quick. One thing we've seen effective is give them free shipping in exchange for email. Give them something of value. Free deluxe sample size, free something that's very inexpensive, a free guide. I need another 10% savings. Like I need another hole in my head. So with that's about all I have to say on capturing. Be strategic about where you place your pop-ups. Make sure the value's there. Inline works effectively if it's positioned right on the page, usually home page. But in terms of landing pages, it depends on your definition of landing page too. A lot of people will have a specific page for a specific product, but also a landing page is your first visit. What's the first interaction with your brand? What's the first page that they land on? Could be a product page, could be your home page, could be a collections page, could be retargeting back to your cart. Could be all of these things, and optimizing it is the same way. It's where's the value, where's the trust, where are the benefits of my product? How can I support those benefits with the features of my product? How can I get the visitors to picture themselves using the product without the luxury of touching and feeling and trying on the product? How can I alleviate any questions that they might have? How can I handle any objections of why they're not going to buy the product? How can I make them feel safe and secure? And what we're doing right now is, the cliche is we're, in uncertain times, and we're in the unknowns, and whatever else phrase you want to use that everybody else is using in marketing right now. But you need to set the expectation of shipping. And we're doing a lot of this is you order today, you're going to get it by this time. Or, hey, we're experiencing slight delays in shipping. Expect your order to be within 10 days or 14 days. And we're normally 3 to 5. As long as you're setting the expectation of when that product is going to be received, we're seeing significant improvements in conversion rates and other KPIs with just being able to set that expectation. And it doesn't have to be fast. People know they're understanding with everything. They just are happy to be able to get it and know that they're going to get it by a certain time. Guaranteeing the safe and secure shipping, like, hey, we're over sanitizing, we're keeping our employees safe. We're doing all of these things that are important to the general populace. They want to know that their products are going to arrive safe. We've got people that are opening boxes in their garage, because they're not wanting to bring it into the house, and all of these things. bring down the tension and understand that, hey, we're just people too. We've got staff, they've got families. We're not hiding behind a brand. It's just be real with them, and the more real you can be, the better. Also, portion of proceeds go into charity. We've had this go both ways, so test it. That's my biggest tip. If I give anything right now, is a lot of people are saying, "Oh, hey, we're giving back to charity. We're doing this." There's a lot of angry individuals in the general mass market right now.
Yeah.
They want to know what percentage is being given to charity. They might not like that specific charity or that cause that could actually backfire on you. So test it. Test the language you're using. Test the percentage you're using. Test telling them a percentage versus not telling them a percentage. Just understand what really drives your audience. But landing pages, I treat it the same way. And it depends on the page. It could be a specific Zipify page that you have for a particular product, or it could be, your homepage. It's all the same to me. At the end of the day, it's just that first interaction with your brand. Where do they land first, and how can I help, them navigate? And again, goes back to how can I get them to understand who we are, figure out what it is that we're selling. How can I help them find what it is they're looking for as quickly as possible, answer all of those questions, and then get them through to the buying process as quickly as possible.
And do you go through this process for every single page that you work with, or is it kind of, here is kind of the first point of contact. Once I get a conclusion for this page, I'm going to kind of just scale that same result across the different pages? Yeah.
I look at it very holistically. So sometimes we'll start at the checkout page, for example, depending on what the data is telling us. But I look at it, when I start with a new client, I want to blanket the site as quickly as possible. I want to test running on every single page that all the key pages, the home page, collections, product page, checkout, cart. So I can start gathering data. I want to know what these visitors care about the most. And I'm usually kind of have my first dozen or so ideas mapped out. We have a list of 6 that can be applied pretty much across the board that we kind of pull from initially, moving the add to cart button above the fold on mobile, on product detail page or something, skipping the cart to go directly to checkout, or skipping the side cart and going to the cart page. Just some of these friction things that we know are going to be effective. But yeah, I look at it holistically, and each business is different. Sometimes we'll start on the homepage. Sometimes we'll start on the product page. Sometimes we'll start on the cart. I mean, it really just depends on what we're trying to learn.
It's awesome. And also echoing the point that you just made on setting expectations for shipping schedules. What we have found from our work as well is when we do the same thing on emails, especially in the post-purchase stage, we significantly reduce the number of angry customers going to support, and we actually see a difference in the result as well.
That's one thing I didn't mention either. Is we all talk about cost per acquisition, and we talk about all of these other things. We've seen 20% reduction in customer support complaints.
Yeah, complaints and refunds, the unseen costs of just running a business. People typically just don't look into that much because it's not revenue based. It's kind of just costs.
Yeah. Throw an FAQ on a page and watch your, in some cases, watch your customer support complaints. People think, oh, my conversion rate didn't go up, but they don't look at all of those other factors. There's a million different metrics that you can measure, and that you cannot necessarily, you send one email that paints a story about how the company started and it's a family run operation and we created the products because of this reason or whatever. You can't quantify that to say that it drove sales to X, Y, and Z. You can't measure the impact that has. Or you send out a frequently asked questions email or something. There's no way to quantify that in that it drove sales, but it's probably having a massive impact on the overall brand equity. And that's where people just, they miss it. They just are so caught up in the black and white nature of a spreadsheet and data, and you're dealing with people at the end of the day. So sorry to cut you off there, but
no, that's good. That's good. Exactly. And really that's really what we kind of that's the approach that we try to take when we work with clients, kind of seeing things in a holistic approach and not just individual emails or just emails as a single channel converting revenue. Because really it's a part of a bigger picture, the business as a whole. So I like that. And I guess I'm going to move on to the next part of this, pop-ups or lead magnets, just echoing what you just mentioned. Discount codes. I think people are kind of both as a marketer and as a consumer, we're kind of both addicted to some degree with discount codes, but there's a wide spectrum of value that you can be providing beyond just a discount. And lead capturing for emails, it actually has quite a big impact on the quality of leads that we get on the emails front as well. If people are ending up in an email list solely because they have the option to get a discount code, the quality of leads are generally not going to be as great as people who are in a list just because they get a free guide or a free ebook and they're genuinely interested in the content that
spin to win.
Oh man, I hate those.
So does everybody else that actually markets.
I actually hate those. Yeah.
You're not the first. You're not the only email specific agency that I've talked to that absolutely hates them because of that exact reason.
Yeah. We get absolutely just absolute trash leads. And
you get a ton of leads.
Yeah, you get a great deal of leads for sure, but it's just not going to convert. It's not going to engage. No matter how quality your content is going to be, it's just not going to do. What's your take on that, on conversion wheels? Because it does drive conversions to some degree, I suppose, like on a direct response basis. But beyond that, it just shatters the
again, big picture. I'll sacrifice. I mean, when you've got businesses that get 20+% of their revenue from email, I'll sacrifice a little bit of upfront conversion rate to build an email list that's responsive. But if it's full of a bunch of tire kickers, discount shoppers, it's the same way as running a coupon code on an affiliate site.
Yep.
That doesn't bring in very good customers. It's the I'm drawing like the Living Social, Groupon type thing.
Yeah.
That was the stigma for the longest time is,
you
get a ton of business that comes in the door, but you didn't make any money on that. And you're not going to get very many repeat customers. They only tried you out because it was 60% off.
Yeah.
And it's the same way. I'm all about upfront conversions, but I'm also more about scalability and growth of a business rather than, did I get the upfront conversion? And I've tested the heck out of those spin to win things. And, most of them are gamed anyway. They're defaulting to 10%. You're never going to get 50% off. I've tested defaulting them to 5% to 15%. And it's still the conversion rate on the front, big deal. But if you're getting trash leads, what does it matter? What is 1,000 leads that are just in it for a discount versus 400 that are actually give a damn about the brand?
Yep, exactly. And I think that goes in the other direction as well. To stand out from pretty much all the competitors who are kind of offering discount codes up front, it's pretty easy to stand out in this context. It does take a bit of time, though, if you think about it, in understanding what exactly does it take to drive value for your audience, whether it be free shipping, and an added product for free, or even a free ebook or guide, and which is really tailored to the problem or the reason that people are arriving on your homepage for in the first place, and why they're interested in your products in the first place. And there's a huge opportunity there, obviously, to kind of look into the content side of things and how to use that as, firstly, a lead magnet and driving people into a conversation on the back end that leads to a conversion, versus just discount and buy kind of a thing. So yeah, attention-worthy, valuable lead magnets.
Abandoned checkout, abandoned cart, initial pop-up on a page. The more value you can provide, it's easy to stand out, like you said. It's completely. And it brought up another point that a thought that I had is free shipping isn't always a big driver. Most people don't see that. They just think that, hey, if I can offer free shipping, it's going to be awesome. Most people, particularly male markets, could give a damn less if you have free shipping or not.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's so far down the priority list. It's almost comical. So that's another way to kind of set yourself apart, is not necessarily worry about is free shipping a focus or not. Charge for it. If you're second guessing yourself, charge for it.
I want to linger on that a little bit, because people typically think about shipping as a friction point at the checkout process.
If it's expensive, it is.
Okay.
But I've proven that too.
Like how expensive?
I've charged $10 for shipping for US on a $50 product, and it didn't budge the needle at all.
Okay.
On conversion. So it's funny, is I've tested this on 3 different brands in the last few months. Actually more than that, but 3 that really jump out. One had free shipping forever. Literally, they thought it was the big selling point. For the entire history of the business, they were free shipping and returns. Majority of their orders were under $30. So they were getting killed on shipping cost. We're already on tight margins in e-com.
Yep.
We tested it. They surveyed the market. It was 7th on the list of importance of the survey was shipping.
Wow.
We tested a $35 shipping threshold and $4.95 shipping. Conversion rate didn't fluctuate at all.
Wow.
But now they made $300,000 more a year in profit.
Yeah.
By just charging $5 shipping on orders under $35.
That's
another
amazing.
side of it was company was offering free shipping. We tested $50 and $75 threshold. 50 and 75 both beat out free. We ended up going with 50 at $4.95. Then we went to $7.95. Didn't change. Now we're back up to $75 threshold at $7.95 shipping.
Wow. Okay.
Conversion rate, AOV, everything.
And that's basically $7.90 in pure profits per
Pretty
order.
much.
That's incredible.
Given that their average order value is about $65.
Oh man. That's what, 12%?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, you're getting, I mean, it's $8 in pure profit on an already tight margin.
That's massive. That's a lot.
And use it as an incentive for quantity breaks too. So if you've got a consumable product like, a supplement or skincare or something, use it as a quantity break. It's like, hey, buy 3 or more and get free shipping, or use that as an incentive. But if you buy 1, you're paying shipping. But it usually does not matter. And so many people think that is a friction point when it isn't a big lever to pull.
Interesting.
Another tangent. Sorry, I get rambling.
No, that's good. That's good value. I think people who are actually still listening at this point in time, they're gonna get a lot from just this conversation. So yeah, coming back to this, a lot of people kind of have the offer directly in the success message after someone has keyed in their email address. A success message pops up. If it's a discount code, it's typically kind of placed in there, or a download link, it's typically in there, which kind of defeats the purpose of having that that connection to emails. I'm not saying that that's a bad option, but people kind of just forget about emails altogether. They kind of just build a massive list, and there's no immediate email that says, hey there, thanks for subscribing. I'm just reaching out to say hi, and all something simple like that instantly increases that kind of leverages on that recency effect of having that first impression, building that relationship from the get-go in the right tone and the right way. And something that people kind of miss out on is that this email typically has the highest open rate for pretty much any email in the entire system, which makes sense because it comes directly after an opt-in, which gives you an incredible opportunity to showcase what your brand is truly all about without worrying about images being too much or image to text ratio being in the way of deliverability or inboxing, because it's kind of guaranteed that people are going to look for your email anyways. So for that reason alone, we typically go pretty aggressive on design, on really good looking emails that really convey the brand's identity and who they really are as much as possible. And we found that has been really, really effective immediately after an opt-in. And of course, when we're talking about conversion testing, conversion optimization and testing, we always split test our pop-ups. We always test kind of like a centralized pop-up versus a flyout versus an inline embedded form. Right now, my favorite type of pop-up is still a flyout, typically in the middle of the page. That works really well. For some reason, I really like that kind of visually and as an experience as well. It's not in your face, but it just gently comes out and just hints at its existence. I find that that's really appealing, and it converts really well, and it doesn't affect the whole journey of a person's experience on the website. We also time it accordingly based on the average bounce rate, the average session time of the page. And we kind of take that average as a gauge of when to time the pop-up, the flyout to come out. Alternatively, we also use an exit intent feature, which basically any pop-up builder has. And yeah, it's been working really well. Actually, on that note, Justin, I have a question for you. On pop-ups, have you seen any significant effects on conversion rates or experience on the website? Do you veer away from pop-ups, or do you kind of find a balance?
There's a balance. I mean, I think people are kind of intended to see them now. As long as they're not immediate, it's kind of where I see the biggest factor. It's like, hey, page loads, pop-up loads. That's usually a deterrent because they don't even know whether they want to do business with you at that point. They're still trying to get their bearings, particularly on mobile. But yeah, I mean, there is some ways to screw it up. Marketers ruin everything. So you try to be over aggressive. I think that's where you kind of fall short. But yeah, I mean, just use common sense. Do you want to pop up immediately when you land on a website?
Yeah,
probably not. So not. If you want to wait 30 seconds, probably.
Gotcha. That's perfect. And that brings us to convert. And you talked about this already to a slight degree here. The idea of removing friction points and optimizing for conversions from that point of view. Talk to us about kind of what that looks like in more detail, and how do you identify friction points, and how do you create a path of least resistance?
So it comes back to that common sense thing again. So what I will do is I will log on to a website, first glance. I know, okay, it's mobile. It's this. I'll simulate a mobile environment on my computer, and I'll walk through the journey, and I'll just figure out, okay, do I know where to go next? Do I know what this product is? Do I know what kind of product offerings they actually have? And I start at the homepage and I just work my way from front to back. And I figure out, okay, well, on the product page, I can't tell, or the collections page, I can't filter and sort. They've got 5,000 products. I don't have no idea what I'm looking for. I can't narrow my elements down. And then I just look for ways to give them, again, the path of least resistance. It's, do I know where the next step is at every phase? Do I know to tap on it? Do I know, is there a call to action? Can I see the call to action? Do I know that I need to choose a color? Do I know that I need to choose a size? And it isn't always removing some elements, which a lot of cases will have multiple descriptions, and we'll have sizing guides and all of these things. Sometimes just adding, say, a sizing guide, or adding a return policy or an exchange policy or something to the page can alleviate friction. We had one, I've been using this example for a little while, is we had a company that had scents the product smelled, and they had a scent guide on the page. It's like, hey, it smells like this, but they exit polled everybody, and they said, I don't know what scent to choose. The information was on the page. It was on the page, but they weren't seeing it. So we just moved it up next to where they selected the scent, and it said it smells like X, Y, and Z, and it increased mobile conversions like 30-something%. Just by moving it. So we added something to the page, but it improved results and alleviated friction.
I'm just going to cut you in here. For those of us who are kind of struggling with having that conversation with our audience, what's the, like, tools wise, how do you facilitate a survey process like that? Do you go through emails, Hotjar? What is it?
Hotjar exit poll usually is what I'll do. Exit poll. I'll just do a poll within Hotjar. So on desktop, it's easy. It's an exit intent. On mobile, you have to time it. Can kind of pay time on page. Because you want to get them on exit. So I want to find out why they're leaving is my primary reason. And I just ask them, why didn't you buy today? Or, what question did we not answer for you today? Or what problems are you having with our website? Ask something open-ended, not yes or no, because yes or no doesn't give us anything. But that's really it. And I just look for, it's just common sense to me at this point, I guess, of seeing so many sites. It's like, okay, this is so confusing. I have no idea what we're doing here. So how can I?
That's interesting.
And I just figure out, if I'm walking hand in hand with somebody and we walk into a store, how can I find what it is I'm looking for? So say you walk into a department store, a brick and mortar store. We'll use, say, Target, for example. They have their sections. Their clothing, their shoes, their home goods, a lot of places have groceries now. How can I find that section that I'm looking for as quickly as possible? Think of it, the signs in the aisles. It's like, I can look across the entire store and say, their sporting goods is in that back corner. I can see it. Same thing when you do on an e-commerce store. Here's our sections. Here's our most popular products. Here's what it's all going to do. How can I help you find that item? And then your product page is, okay, I found the section that I'm in. I picked up the product. I'm touching and feeling it. I'm experiencing it. I'm deciding whether I want to buy it. That's your product page. How can I do
That's
that in a most effective manner? How can I answer the questions? Okay, comparative. What's the sizing like? Do they run small? Do they run big? Are they true to size? How soft is the material? Show somebody wearing the product that's of my age demographic. That's my typical age demographic. You know, you're not going to have a teen when I'm shopping for my 7-year-old. You know, the type of things you got to get them picturing it and experiencing the product as best as you can. And then from there, what's the clear path to checkout? I know that the checkouts are at the front of the store. What are my options? I've got quick checkout. I've got self checkout. I can talk to the cashier lady. Same thing. I've got PayPal. I've got GPay. I've got my add to cart button. I'm going to review my order on the monitor. Here's what it is. Do I have any discounts that I can apply? That's my cart. And then I enter my credit card, and that's my checkout. So how seamless is that process? If you think about it from a brick and mortar perspective, it's the same thing. I'm just walking them through. It's like, okay, I'm going in and I'm going to buy tennis balls today. I'm going back to the sporting goods section. I'm going to find the tennis balls. I'm going to look at the several options of tennis balls that I have. I'm going to compare them. Then I'm going to look at all the features and benefits. And I'm going to decide whether I'm going to go to checkout with them or not.
right.
It's the same.
Is this process, is this kind of thought process, or really it's a mental model, is that something that everybody can do and should have? Common sense, right? It's not that common. Does it come with experience, or is this something that people kind of have and they just have to tap into it, or is it kind of a process of developing it over time?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you're a business owner and you're a marketer, or have somebody on your team that's a marketer, this should be part of your journey. What happens is so many businesses get so close to their marketing message, so close to their products and services, and they just get blind to it all. You know, if you walked into Target every day and you worked there, you're numb to it all. You know, you're numb to the imagery. You're numb to you know where everything is.
Yeah.
You know all the glitches and nuances, and you know that tile on aisle 3 is busted.
Yep.
You know all of those things. So it's getting back out of it and putting yourselves in the visitor's shoes. And if you walk through your site from A to B, and I don't care what it looks like, start out with a basic Shopify theme, which is what I recommend actually. Bare bones, basic, nothing. And compare that to your site. Can I get from point A to point B quickly and get all my questions answered along the way while still being felt like I can trust this brand? If I can't answer that question with like absolutely yes, if this is as simple as it can be, we've got work to do. So many companies sacrifice aesthetics and their look and feel and imagery for function and necessity. There are very few companies. I mean, we work with a company right now. They do $1 million days right now.
That's insane.
I mean, stupid numbers. I mean, thousands of orders a day. This many products.
Really? Wow.
Very few. Their site is not pretty. Their product pages are not the fanciest. They don't have all the greatest plugins in the world. Very bare bones, very, very simple. Yet they're outperforming majority of the sites out there because they're effectively showcasing, here's our product, here's what it's going to do, here are the trusting proof elements, here's how to buy the damn thing. So don't overcomplicate it is probably the biggest tip that I've had in in my last 6 years, I see so many companies. Hell, I've looked at probably 30 sites this week already, and it's only Tuesday. So many people screw it up, and they try to think that it needs to be more complicated than it is.
What about for someone like me, say, or really any business owner for that matter? They're kind of looking at their own site every single day, and like you said, they're numb to it. They know this is just the way that things are being right now, and you can't put yourself. It's really, really hard to pull yourself out of that like mental state to look at things from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
Like they say, it's really hard to look at the label when you're inside a bottle. How do you go about doing how do you go about changing that mindset? Or do you work with like an agency like yourself? Is that preferred, or is there someone else in the team or a specific role that you would usually get people to tap into to help them see the bigger picture?
Yeah. Go ask your customer support people. What are they seeing?
Customer support.
They're on the front lines, but they're not so ingrained in their site. They know the back end. They could process refunds. They probably know what type of products you have, or they should. But also, just if you're a marketer, you've got friends. You know, you've got friends. So, I mean, I can go on social media right now and post a link and say, what do you guys think of this? Brutally honest. Tell me what sucks, what doesn't.
Right.
I'm going to get the feedback. Ask somebody. So I use the mother test or the grandmother test.
What is that?
Is go to, like, my mom, for example, isn't that computer savvy.
Yeah.
You know, if she's in the demographic or whatever, send her the link. You know, do a mini user test. They're going to tell you very quickly what's wrong. Another thing is just ask your audience. Go back to what we've been talking about kind of throughout this whole thing, is you get so close to it. There's resources out there. There's availability. Just get that fresh perspective. Like, I'll do an analysis for somebody and we'll walk through it, and there's a ton of aha moments. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. And it's just something so basic, so simple, because I come at it from a very unbiased perspective, and I don't care what business owner A thinks of their website. Or I don't. And I have my opinions too, but I'm looking at the data, and the data is saying this, and I look at your website and your website sucks. Because the data is telling me that your website sucks. So what can I do to do that? And I'm usually brutally honest with what I think works and what doesn't. And because I see so much data, I see so many websites, but it isn't always as black and white that this works 100% of the time. But I'm going to know very quickly whether there's friction on a site or not, and what's broken. And I can generally pick it without even looking at data at this point. I could generally see with just asking a handful of questions. And but there are resources out there. Just ask. You've got industry friends. Ask your CFO.
Yeah.
Ask your accountant. Ask somebody what they think that isn't directly tied to it.
That's awesome. I'm going to loop back into this in a little bit. No problem. But for now, let's move on to the next stage. I'm going to jump a couple of slides here. Retain, and that's really what it's all about. Once you've converted traffic into customers, that's where we come in as an agency, with Chronos. We're really good at retaining customers and keeping them in the cycle, in the ecosystem. And part of that conversation today is in understanding churn in the context of being in a lockdown, being in the pandemic, and kind of inspiring confidence that might be unprecedented from a brand. So with emails, retention emails specifically, and how we think about reducing churn rates. Number one, maximizing the use of thank you emails. That's something that we have been kind of testing with. It's, you know, more likely than not, most brands are still relying on the typical order confirmation emails, especially on Shopify. It's by default. It's like it's corporatized. It's templatized. There's absolutely no human element to it. It contains the order number, the breakdown of the order, and the respective and total costs involved. It basically acts as a digital receipt, nothing more than that. Mm-hmm. But that's an incredible opportunity for people to begin the relationship that would then lead to more business, more referrals, and lesser churn. And that's really step one in building that relationship. So, and the next point in thinking about upselling and expanding businesses, expanding existing customers, and lifetime value. Brands typically look at, all right, this is my bestseller. This is my next bestseller. I'm just going to recommend the next product that comes to mind to basically everyone in my post-purchase sequence. And that's just a pity, because there's so much more that goes into kind of understanding what drove that initial purchase. And I guess this ties in very heavily to the pop-up itself, right? The pop-up gives you an idea of, all right, they came in to my email list because they were interested in managing hair loss in their mid-40s, for example. And this is a guide. They downloaded a guide that helps them manage that from a social perspective, from a health perspective. What does it mean for them to go through something that's so scary? And then we kind of, the next product that's being recommended to them is a dandruff, is a dandruff product, which has absolutely no relevance at all. And that just destroys the relationship at that point in time. It's not just losing a sale, it's losing a relationship as well. And that's why it's so important to have a sense of the user journey. Justin, you talked about this as well, understanding that big picture perspective of what a customer is experiencing on a website. Same thing is happening on emails. And third, timely emails, seasonal greetings, and especially during this time, it's really even more important for you to reach out to kind of. And I'm going to show an example of an email that we sent actually that worked really, really well. Just a personal email, text-based, doesn't have to be well designed. Comes from basically either the founder or one of the owners of the store, and just being genuine and authentic with your personification and just communication in general works incredibly well to firstly reassure, and secondly kind of reaffirm the relationship that you have already built after making that first conversion. And of course, email's great tool to use to ask for user feedback. If you haven't already captured some sort of feedback on through Hotjar, an exit survey on Hotjar, email is a great place to build kind of custom profiles, custom properties on individual profiles, asking for user feedback through that process. Also, we look into kind of getting people back into the cycle, and we talked about a longer attribution cycle. And that often means that people have the tendency to look at multiple sites or even just multiple product pages and reading up about product features and benefits before even adding anything to cart. And that's when reminder emails, some call it browser abandonment emails, we call it the browse recovery emails, based on browsing history, specific browsing history. If you can go down into the details of the specific content that has been consumed and kind of channeling them back into that same conversation of, hey, you read about our guide on managing hair loss. You also read about our guide on hair growth formulas and product comparisons. Here's more information to help you make a decision. By the way, we also sell whatever my brand's hair growth formula. If you're interested in that, we have supplements, we have lotions and creams that help people like just like you. That makes it super personalized. And also discounts become much more effective at this stage, because it's no longer, hey, everyone who's interested in my store, I don't care who you are, just take 20% off your first order. That's kind of like a blanket attempt at conversion optimization. But at this stage, when you've already built that relationship and really understood what the person in your list actually wants, a discount becomes an incentive that is much stronger. We use dynamic discount codes on Klaviyo, which means that the discount codes are actually one use only. And that becomes a real urgency factor, and it's not fake anymore. It's not like welcome 10 or welcome 5. It's actually a string of just random letters and numbers that is personalized for that individual. And that gives us a really good opportunity to win back customers that have churned or for a really long time have not purchased from us again, especially if it's a replenishable product. So that's kind of the thought process that we go through with Chronos and a lot of the clients that we work with. And this is actually one of the examples of the emails that we have created. It's really simple. It's just text. It says, hey, Miles, we understand that these are trying times for everybody, and we want to touch base with all of our lovely customers to let you know that we care. We truly believe that if we all work together as a world, we can overcome this challenging and trying time. And it just talks about precautionary measures that we have taken, and the rest of the email is kind of just things that we have done as a company, as well as things that you can do at home to contribute to your community in general. And this email worked incredibly well. It had a 52.2% open rate. It even generated 176 orders from just one email. And this is way above our typical number of placed orders per email. This is at least, I believe it's 4 to 5 times more than the average placed orders per email in the past, I don't know, average of 20, 30 emails. That's incredible. And that just tells you that you don't necessarily need a discount to convert. Often it just means caring and being understanding and being present and genuine. So I think that really, really wraps up the point that you made really well. So, and I want to loop back into kind of the overall picture: convert, capture, and retain. And we kind of talked about this in general already. Justin, for someone who's interested in kind of getting started with conversion rate optimization, or someone who's interested to begin that conversation, what should they do in terms of like the first 3 to 5 steps, for example?
So look at your data. That's the biggest thing. So many people don't look at their data. They don't log into analytics. They don't pay attention to it. They log into the Shopify dashboard and they'll take a peek, and that doesn't tell you anything, typically. So just try to paint the picture of what your visitors are telling you based on that data. Where are they going? Where they're falling off? An example of this is most people are undervalue or underappreciate their homepage. They say, well, I'm driving traffic to a product page. I don't care about my homepage. Well, it's usually in the top 3 or 4 most traffic pages on your site, and it probably converts better than 90% of the other pages. So just figuring out where they're at, where they're going, then just set up that qualitative. That's really it. And then just listen to your visitors. That is the core of where it starts. And I use testing to help me understand more about those visitors. So that's why we typically will get up and testing very, very quickly I don't try to overanalyze, and I just try to just understand through my testing and use that as a guide to evolve. But if you're newer and you need more data and you need that fresh perspective, just ask your visitors and look at how they're performing and where they're clicking and how far they're scrolling on your page. And then just ask yourself the question why and move on. Kind of just what we've been talking about for the last hour and a half or so.
Amazing. Justin, thank you so much for your time. And for those of you who are listening and watching this on a replay as well, this is how you can contact Justin. Justin, tell us more about what goes into behind the scenes of your company, how you work with a client, who's your ideal client, and all that stuff.
Usually businesses getting 20 plus sales a day or more. We work all the way up into obviously ones that get, many, many thousands of orders a day. But generally it starts with a complementary analysis, whether we help you and work together or not. We'll go through that proposal process and review your site. And from there, if we decide to work together and if we can help, I'm going to do everything in my power to do so. If I can't, then I'll tell you that too. I don't have time to force relationships. And then we just get to work. We make sure everything's installed, tracking. And once we're up with our first test, then we start the clock on kind of a rolling 3-month agreement. So we're not even long-term contracts. We just keep it very simple. And then we just test, roll up our sleeves and get to work, start testing as fast as the data will let us. And that's pretty much it. And over communicate along the way. I mean, we're an extension, not some third party out here randomly doing stuff. And
I love that. An extension, a partner, not just an agency.
I lose more sleep over client campaigns than I care to think about, just because I want everything to go.
Oh man, I love that. And I can tell, honestly, I can tell that you're genuinely passionate about this, and you're not like a guru who's faking it. This is something that you've been doing for a long time.
We joke about that too, because I mean, there is something to say when you actually give a damn. And I don't need to be a celebrity. I don't need to be put on a pedestal about doing this. I love what I do. I want to be the best at it, but I don't want to be the best at it comparative to others. I want to be the best at it that I can for my clients. And the better I can deliver our service and product and help our clients, that's when we win. And I don't care if I get name or notoriety or recollection or whatever other status symbol that you need. I don't care about any of that. So I guess
results first.
I'm glad
let the results speak for itself. Yeah.
I am glad I'm coming through with that. It's, there's some
100%. Yeah.
Some passion in it. And, I really do care. In fact, I was in the office this morning, an hour and a half before we hopped on this, and was going through client campaigns and briefing the team. It's like, hey, here, I think a little extra attention needs to be put here today. And I do that every single morning across every single client. So
that's beautiful.
So there is. And then that's really it. Just care, ask the right questions. And I ask the simple ones. And then I just take action. The more you test, the more you learn, the more you win. So that's really what we do.
There you have it, guys. You heard it from Justin himself. Reach out to him. I promise you're not going to be disappointed. And if you're interested in contacting me or my team, again, just pitch ourselves again. This is who we are. Email marketing, SMS marketing, and chatbot marketing is our game. We've been doing it for the past 3 years. Nothing but e-com and back-end marketing. We are really, really profit-minded, where we optimize customer lifetime value, customer profits for your business as an extension, as a partner, and not as a typical kind of employee, external agency kind of a thing. So,
and they all work together. So it's not one drives the other. It's
Exactly.
one cohesive picture. Without email, we can't have proper traffic. Without optimization, you don't have email. It's all one cohesive marketing machine.
You just can't have one without the other. That's for sure. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. And for those of you who have been sticking around or watching till the end, we do have a little bit of a freebie, a couple of email templates, resources. Can either use a QR code that we put together or the link down below. And that is it. Thank you so much for joining us live or watching this replay. My name is Joshua. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chronos Agency. Together with me, Justin from Conversion Fanatics. Indeed, a fanatic for sure. And thank you so much for your time. Do reach out to him and have a conversation.
All right. Thanks, Josh. We'll talk to you soon.